10 years ago, this marked the end of the FJ in North America. But ever since then, the FJs have become so sought after that they have been resold for crazy money. This one belongs to my friend Dennis, but he said he will never sell it, even for 100 grand. Enthusiasts love the FJs because they are honest, lean and agile, and fit for purpose. Very few cars today are like that, except for the new Land Cruiser.
It's honest, it's lean and agile, it's fit for purpose.
Both cruisers were built on the light-duty Prado platform, and both have charming retro designs. As longtime Toyota fans, both Dennis and I were very intrigued by the new Land Cruiser. So when Toyota loaned me a first edition for review, Dennis even agreed to take his collector piece off-road for the very first time. Now, for context, all these happened back in the summer of 2024, a full year before this video. Prior to the new Land Cruiser, I had already tested the GX550 and the new Tacoma. If you watch my videos on those, you know I spoke highly about the new platform. And now Toyota is pairing the same platform, but with an FJ Cruiser style design.
I gotta tell you, it was perfect. Perfect.
But after our detailed look at the new Land Cruiser, we weren't so sure. To be fair, that was the first model year. So for such an important vehicle, I decided to hold off making the video and see what Toyota may change in the second year. Now, it is 1 year later. We have to talk. In my mind, an honest vehicle means having good mechanical underpinnings. Even where most people don't care to look, the car maker gave us the goods anyway. Based on this philosophy, the new Land Cruiser really fell short. And I have 3 specific examples. First, range is very critical for overlanding. The FJ Cruiser only had a 19-gallon tank due to its short wheelbase, so range was one of its weaknesses. The new Land Cruiser has a 6.3-inch longer wheelbase. However, the gas tank is actually 1 gallon smaller. That just doesn't make sense. After some investigation, I found out why. For the FJ, the gas tank extends right up against the rear axle. It was shaped around the differential like Tetris. And to clear this upper control arm, you can tell someone put in deliberate effort to wrap the gas tank around the space, just to squeeze in a few extra gallons. It ain't much, but it's honest work. But for the new Land Cruiser, the gas tank ends way before the rear differential. Like, they didn't even bother to try. And yes, the new Land Cruiser does have better fuel economy, which helps with the range. But a vehicle this big having a smaller gas tank than this? Come on, man. But hey, at least it has good power. The iForce Max hybrid powertrain has a whopping 465 pound-feet of torque. And paired with the much lower first gear, the Land Cruiser can literally put down double the peak torque as the FJ.
So much torque, the chassis twisted coming off the line.
But somehow, it still has the same size rear diff as the FJ. So either the FJ was extremely overbuilt, or this new Land Cruiser was kind of underbuilt. To be fair, the new axle housing is beefier than the FJ, but the ring gear inside was still 8.2 inches. In comparison, the new iForce Max 4Runners and Tacomas, as well as the V6 GX550, all received a 9.5-inch rear diff, which was the same size as the Land Cruiser 200 series. But somehow, the Land Cruiser's successor did not get that upgrade. Interesting choice. And at last, on the FJ Cruisers and many previous gen Toyotas, the CV axles was a limiting factor. When we tried to get meaningfully more wheel travel out of the front suspension, the tripod-style inner CV joint will bind. That's why for my FJ, I spent over $1,000 per axle for a higher angle CV. The good news is, on the new Tacoma, if you choose TRD off-road or above, Toyota actually includes stronger and higher angle CVs straight from the factory. And for the GX550s, all of them, even the non-off-road trims, get the better axles. Because Lexus said, it ain't much, but it's honest work. However, when it comes to the new Land Cruiser, none of them got the better axles. That's right, even the top trim first edition received the same CV axles as the FJ Cruiser. I mean, what the hell? Now, some may say they don't care about the off-road stuff. They bought the Land Cruiser simply as a cool daily driver. That's totally valid. But then, shouldn't it have a lower price tag? Out of all the vehicles I mentioned, this Land Cruiser First Edition had the highest MSRP. It was $5,000 over the Lexus Overtrail from the same year. Now that doesn't sound like an honest price. The elephant in the room is the wheelbase. Of course, the FJ's short wheelbase was more agile, but it was also short-lived in the US market due to poor sales. The short wheelbase was simply not practical for most Americans. You guys all know how much I love short stubby trucks. But realistically speaking, Toyota made the right choice by going long. But outside the wheelbase, Toyota said,
The overhang's short and the corners carefully sculpted.
I don't know about you, but these overhangs were not short by any standards. And if we see it from the front, these corners were also not carefully sculpted than they were used to. Now, the new Land Cruiser did come with 1 inch larger tires, so I would at least expect better ground clearance. But no. As you can see, the Land Cruiser actually hangs lower pretty much everywhere underneath. After a full day of wheeling at Rauch Creek Off-Road Park, the Land Cruiser scraped a lot more than the FJ. But according to Toyota,
Proportions are calculated for maneuverability in extreme environments.
I'm sorry, but it was nowhere near extreme environments. I was constantly checking Onyx Off-Road to make sure we stay on the easy green trails. The highest technical rating we did was just 3 out of 10. In comparison, 2 years ago, this stock 4-door Bronco showed up at our local Toyota event, and this was rated 6 out of 10 on Onyx Off-Road.
Hard driver, hard driver, hard driver. Yep.
Now that is what I would call maneuverability in extreme environments. Onyx Off-Road is a tool I use for every trip, and they are also a sponsor to this channel. A few weeks ago, I was leading a group at this year's FJ Northeasters Trail Run. Our group was fairly capable, so to keep everyone entertained, I used Onyx Off-Road to find the challenging stuff. Oh look, it was that Bronco from 2 years ago.
Man, walk in the park. This thing's like breathing. What is that?
That was pretty impressive. That is impressive.
Whether you are doing mild overlanding or hardcore rock crawling, Onyx Off-Road will be an invaluable tool. You can use code TINKERER or the link in description for 20% off. I would like to thank Onyx for supporting my channel. Now, let's get back to the Land Cruiser. From when I got hit off-road, I noticed a few interesting details. First, I got hung up a few times on the lower link mount. As it turned out, even with 1 inch larger tires, the Land Cruiser's bracket actually hang 0.9 inch lower than the FJ. But the crazy part is, they are also 33% thinner. Then there was this frame crossmember, which hung down quite a bit and was positioned right around the breakover point. But I didn't remember seeing this when I reviewed the new Tacoma. Turned out, this crossmember is unique to the hybrid powertrain. As you can see, the iForce Max Tacoma will also get this bump out. In fact, this hybrid-specific crossmember was another reason for the small gas tank. On the V6 powered GX550, this crossmember is positioned much more forward. That's why although they are identical in size, the new GX has a 21-gallon gas tank instead of only 18. That hybrid stuff really starts to feel like one step forward and two steps back. In my opinion, the main purpose of these modern retro 4x4 is to be pretty capable off-road, while still being very good on-road. The key is to do both. For this exact purpose, Toyota introduced the brand new front stabilizer disconnect mechanism, which I like a lot. When off-road, the SDM unlocks the full suspension articulation, which translates to better stability and better traction. Here, I really wanted to overlay the difference in flex. Unfortunately, we took some very different lines. So we did a more controlled measurement in front of my garage. Compared to itself, the SDM unlocked an additional 78% of front-end articulation. It went from 4.5 inches to 8.1. As you can see, the whole truck became more leveled and climbed further up the ramps. If we compare it to the FJ Cruiser, the difference is even greater. The FJ only flexed 3.7 inches in the IFS because of the front sway bar. In the past, Toyota guys would remove their front sway bars to achieve better flex, but that really sacrificed on-road stability. So the new SDM really got us the best of both worlds. Well, except the new Land Cruiser missed the mark again. With the sway bar connected, this Land Cruiser still has significantly more body roll than its FJ. This is a lot of body roll. Right. So I want to go this way a little bit. It's kind of delayed. Yeah, I turn, it roll, then go. It's not very responsive. I can do this. And it barely moved. Like that. It was very noticeable when we drove the two trucks back to back. It just do this. But the other car it doesn't turn. Like that. Yeah, this is a lot better. I turn. This is how it's supposed to be. The new Land Cruiser almost drove like my FJ with the front sway bar removed. This was a total surprise, so I did some investigation. As it turned out, the new Land Cruiser's SDM uses the exact same diameter bar as the new Tacoma. 33.4. But as you can see, the Land Cruiser is much taller and heavier. And for the GX550, which uses EKDSS instead of SDM, its front sway bar is 33% thicker, which equals to about 3 times the torsional stiffness as that of the Land Cruiser. That's why although they share the same tall body, the GX handled many times better on road. At the same time, all three vehicles achieved the same articulation. But as mentioned before, both the GX and the Tacoma have higher angle CVs. So when paired with longer aftermarket shocks, they can achieve even more flex than the Land Cruiser. So yeah, when I found out all these last summer, I couldn't believe how much Toyota missed the mark. That was why I put this video on hold and see what Toyota may change in 2025. Well, they did change one thing. They removed the first edition, so you can no longer get the round headlights and the SDM at the same time. And speaking of the first edition, it kind of felt low effort. Those special mud flaps unfortunately did not survive 3 out of 10 trails. And pairing low trim headlights with high trim specs and calling it special just feels like lazy marketing. Compared to the special editions Toyota used to make, this just didn't have the sauce. Now that's more like it. Cool TRD wheels have always been Toyota's special sauce. From the 16-inch Troutings wheels for the FJ, to the 17-inch Rock Warrior wheels for the Tundra, all those have been highly sought after even to this day. And you might have noticed, those special edition wheels all have a smaller diameter than the standard ones, because the Toyota back then understood what off-roaders want. But today, even though the first edition could fit some 17s, Toyota simply put on some plain old 18-inchers that got scratched up on 3 out of 10 trails. Oh, by the way, I thought the first edition would at least come with all-terrain tires. Like they showed that at the initial release. But we end up getting some plain old Michelins? Why? Even the Lexus came with Toyo Open Country ATs. Yes, I have been very critical in this video. That's because I am a real Toyota fan for 12 years. And a new Land Cruiser means a lot to Toyota fans. But sorry Toyota, this wasn't it. Nevertheless, this is not the end of the story. Solutions for most issues I brought up already exist on a different model. And give us more sauce, man. Better wheels, better suspensions, or just some cool badges. For a 77 grand special edition, not having any of these was simply unacceptable. Toyota fans are loyal. We were ready to love the new Land Cruiser. So please, don't push us away. I want to give a special thanks to Dennis for bringing his collector piece off-road. After that day, he spent over 4 hours making it clean again. Oh, by the way, this is what he typically takes to go off-road. I also want to give a big shout out to Con from 4-Wheel Drive's live channel. He filmed many cool shots for this video, and he's building a Tacoma with some cool TRD wheels. I will leave both of their social links in the description below. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.